Yeah, no, Xbox, you're about to lose billions of dollars. How can this get any worse? Surely this Xbox stuff can't get any worse, right? Well, never mind. I guess it can. Goodbye, Xbox Gaming. Hello, Microsoft Gaming. Yeah, you got anything to say there, Sarah Bonds? Looks like Phil's too busy repairing his camp right now. Just when you think the news surrounding Xbox can't get any worse, Xbox says, you know what? Hold my beer. And you know what? Hold my second beer. And why not hold my third beer? It has been over 48 hours since we started seeing all this Xbox news, and today on May 9th/May 10th, depending on where you are, we have learned even more information, including some extra news and details on stuff that has already been broken over the last 24 hours. This is just terrible. I'm getting so tired of talking about this, but I need to talk about one thing in particular at the very least, and I thought, why not? Let's just throw everything together, get a good wrap up going, and we'll be done. So once again, strap in and let's see what the Xbox or Microsoft have done this time. Now, unless you've been living under a rock, then you've most likely heard or seen videos, reports, you name it, about everything that has to deal with all these Xbox closures and everything. So if you need to catch up on all that stuff, check out our 2 videos in the top right corner and down in the comments below. Our own little body was able to cover everything in extreme detail, so go check that out. He covers every little thing you could possibly think of. I'm here to kind of cover the last little bit of details that have come out during the nighttime for most people. Living here in Japan does have its benefits when it comes to the time zones and everything, and so that's the stuff I'm going to cover. Plus, something that I actually found out and a lot of people are not talking about when it comes to Tango Gameworks and their closure, because there's a lot more stuff here that is going to hurt Xbox/Microsoft even more down the road when it comes to Japan and doing business here. So we're going to get into all of that. Now, when it comes to Tango Gameworks, of course, everyone knows that Xbox shut down the whole studio, but there are a couple of extra little things to add to that. One point almost everyone knows and is talking about right now. The other, very few people are actually talking about this. Some might know it, but overall, there's some bigger ramifications that are happening because of this. Now, as we've seen and we've actually covered in our previous video, after the studio was shut down, in a small town hall meeting, it seems Matt Booty of Xbox said that they need more games that are smaller in scope that can win awards. First off, are you fucking serious right now? That is exactly what Tango did for you. While Hi-Fi Rush was not my personal game of the year, it was a complete, full, good game and did some cool things. Plus, they were your ticket into the Japanese market, which you have been trying to break into forever. If you can break into the Japanese market, then you're gonna have more than 2 shelves in the back of all the electronic stores here. But that's not even the worst part about it. As I said, everyone knows about this. We've seen the articles, it's been reported on, all that fun stuff. The other thing that a lot of people are not reporting on is exactly when this has happened here in Japan. As you know, Tango Gameworks is here in Japan. The actual office is here in Japan and all the employees as well. And you want to know exactly when they got fired? Well, yeah, Tallen knows at the beginning of this week and everything. Yeah, but do you know what day it was here in Japan? Yeah, it was at the day after Golden Week. For those of you who don't know, Golden Week is a string of holidays that include days like Children's Day, Showa Day, and even a day called Greenery Day. These holidays have been around in Japan and as part of their culture for years. And the biggest one is at the end of the string of holidays called Children's Day. Yeah, that Children's Day is the biggest one that I just mentioned, and it's meant for celebrating your children's literal happiness. It is a big moment in a children's life. It's usually when they turn about 5 years old, and the entire family will celebrate this. Families will take pictures together, do special events, and sometimes even invite other people to join them. Oh, and these events, by the way, can cost over $3,000 per kid sometimes. It's that big over here, and it's been a thing for generations. Xbox just decided to close the studio, putting every single one of those workers out of a job with no warning after a huge holiday in a country that they have been trying to get on good terms with. You really think any Japanese company is going to work with you now that you made an entire studio unemployed for doing exactly what you wanted and during a sacred time when it comes to the culture of this country? Especially if any of those employees had children. I know not every single employee there had a child who was turning 5 years old. I already know that. But I guarantee you at least 1 or 2 or maybe even 5 had children and they were celebrating this. And this was also a time to just relax and be with their family. And guess what? You literally just made them all employed. Way to go, Xbox. There is no coming back from this. There just isn't. One thing you might not know is that you usually can't just fire people here because your bottom line is down 2% when it comes to Japanese laws. That is why layoffs have not been as bad compared to other countries like the States. In fact, it even goes all the way back to the days when Nintendo took pay cuts from their CEOs during the fiasco that was the Wii U. Also, the head guy at the time was also just a pretty cool guy, but the Japanese laws were there in place to help with part of that. What Xbox did, honestly, just makes me sick to my stomach. So anytime now that they're trying to go in and be like, hey, we want to do business with you and everything, they're going to be known as the company that shut down an entire studio in their home country the day after Golden Week. That blows my mind. And obviously I know the CEOs and the boards and everything, they don't know shit about Japan and everything. But it doesn't matter anymore. That is what they are labeled as now, and that is not going away. Now, I know that might just sound dramatic to some people, but guess what? That is how big of a deal something like that is here, especially in Japan. So while a lot of people may not understand when it comes to the culture side of things, I can guarantee you Xbox and Microsoft are about to learn it the hard way. Then, if we move away from that and we look at something else, we learn that Sarah Bond was actually interviewed being asked lots of questions for things like the future plans of Xbox and, of course, the layoffs in studios. If you want to watch the entire interview, link will be down below in the comments. Now, I will say there was one question in particular when it came to the actual layoffs and studio closures that she was able to avoid that answer like a professional politician. I have to give you props for that. You've got a career there, Sarah. You really do. It just kind of baffles me that Microsoft or anyone at that company didn't help prepare her for that interview. Honestly, I think it should have been Philip there, but I guess the guy's still trying to repair his camp right now. I mean, the more I question it, how does that guy still have a job? Like, honestly, I just don't know. Now, one more thing that Sarah actually mentioned during this entire interview was how they still plan to release all of their games day one on Game Pass, even though it's now been reported that Microsoft is still debating whether or not it is the best move to put those games onto Game Pass day one, including Call of Duty. Call of Duty was the big one that they asked because obviously Activision games going on there. Look, we at Direct called this years ago that Game Pass is just not sustainable, and guess what? Everyone else is now seeing that. You're seeing that across the board when it comes to all these headlines and everything, that Game Pass is just not sustainable anymore. It's flatlined and it's losing a lot of money. There are reasons other companies like Sony and Nintendo don't do day and day. It is a ton of lost revenue. Other studios and publishers have even been calling it for the last year to not do this anymore. So I have to ask, is it really the best move to keep putting your games on there day one? I know it's kind of the marketing thing at this point, but that is a lot of lost revenue. Heck, that probably ties into the reason why they shut down Tango to begin with. Hi-Fi Rush got all these awards and positive press, but the sales were probably super low. We also saw the statements that 3 million players played this game, but that's not 3 million copies sold. So that statement that we saw last year about how it met all expectations sales-wise, number-wise, and everything from Xbox, yeah, that was most likely a lie. Just saying. Now, I'm not sure if the information that Sarah provided is the latest info during that particular interview, but if it is, Microsoft is about to lose billions of dollars. With the amount of money that COD makes, there is no way they actually plan to put that on Game Pass. Game Pass has literally taught people to just buy the subscription for a month, try it out, and then cancel. Now look, I'm by no means a COD fan. I don't personally care, but damn, I'm expecting this to get changed at the very last second, or at the very least, there's going to be a $50 early access release type of thing that we saw with Starfield, although that one was $30. Oh, and during all of this, by the way, we also learned that is pretty much 99% confirmed that Ultimate Game Pass is getting another price hike. So that's going to need to be at minimum a $30 per month to try to make up for some of this lost revenue if they actually do release COD on Game Pass. It's just numbers. It really is. And honestly, you know what? It's just getting really tired to keep talking about all this stuff. We here at Direct Gaming have been calling this when it comes to Game Pass for quite some time. I planned on just simply making a short when it came to the Japanese culture side of things, but with everything else that keeps dropping when it comes to reveals and everything, I figured one final video to just wrap this all up. It's clear management does not know how to manage all of these studios. That's why in the last 24 hours, we've been seeing statements like this, which are honestly just complete BS. You're spread too thin? Then maybe you shouldn't have bought so many studios to begin with. I said it at the beginning and I'll say it again. Xbox is dead. It's gone. It is now Microsoft Gaming. That's what it is. And you know what? I don't place all the blame on Nadella. You know, the CEO of Microsoft, he gave Phil almost $80 billion. And he most likely wants some return. That's not something unreasonable. Plus, again, he thinks like a CEO. He's a businessman. Maybe instead of buying Activision, you could have used that $69 billion to nurture your studios and get some amazing games out there. But it's clear that's not gonna happen. Microsoft, you are now the COD machine. That's all you are now. All your resources are going to be going into that. Weird that you fired some of the heads of those studios a few months ago. That's a bold move, I'll say. I wouldn't be surprised if the quality just simply drops even more when it comes to Call of Duty. Honestly, I'm fearing for other studios like Ninja Theory and their less than 2-week away game Hellblade 2. They have spent over 7 years on that game. Everyone is just going to play it on Game Pass. Sales are going to be super low. We already know this. I mean, they closed Tango after all of those awards that they won. You really think Hellblade 2 is going to break sales records or something? Nah, it's not going to. I'm sorry. It just isn't. I could keep rambling on, but I think you kind of get the idea. Microsoft Gaming is here, and no matter who takes the spot of Phil, if he ever decides to leave, is not going to change things. All those games that we would like to see, like a new Prey, Dishonored, Hi-Fi Rush 2, and more, are not going to be made. It just isn't. Heck, I'm going to make a prediction right now, so save this for later. I'm saying Obsidian is going to be gone or folded into mainstream Bethesda in the next year. You think we're ever going to see another Grounded or Pentiment? Yeah, right. And on top of that, all this is not over. We can easily expect more layoffs, studio closures, and more, most likely in the next coming weeks and months. But hey, at least we get a Call of Duty showcase for Summerfest, right? That's exactly what we all wanted. All right, like I said, unless something huge and major happens, this is most likely the final video when it comes to covering all this Microsoft gaming news. So if you enjoy these type of discussion videos, then let us know in the comments below by telling us what do you expect to happen in the next year when it comes to Microsoft gaming. I raise my glass I currently have in my hand to Xbox. You will be remembered for your 360 days and some games from Xbox One. At least we got the next Nintendo console coming soon. You can go ahead and check out the video on the channel after this one. Oh, and if you want to discuss even more when it comes to gaming news, reviews, and guides and everything, then consider following us over on Twitter at Direct Gaming. We post there a lot and love having discussions with you. Also, if you like all the content you've been seeing here, whether it's the news, discussions, or guides, then consider hitting that subscribe button to help us reach our year-end goal of 5,000 subs. With all that being said, though, I've been Tallen with Direct Gaming. Thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you have a great day and week. And again, I hope that all the developers and studios that have been affected by this, I hope things can bounce back soon for you. With all that being said, though, until next time, everyone, John A.